Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to Unity of Palmyra, where it is delightfully air-conditioned. Oh my goodness. We're centered in love. We embrace a positive path for spiritual living. We are an open and affirming congregation. We love you exactly as you are in all of your magnificent glory. And we're so glad that you've joined us on this hot, muggy day in Central PA. So if this is your first time here or your first time watching us online, welcome. We are so happy that you've decided to join us this morning. And if you are in person here, please do join us for fellowship downstairs after the service and our monthly hug meeting there. I just got rid of an announcement. So let's take a nice big deep breath now. And if it's safe wherever you are to close your eyes, I invite you to do so, as we signal to the world that we are coming apart for a while, apart to breathe, to relax, to become fully present, to remember the truth of who we are. Spiritual beings having an incredibly, amazingly human experience. And so we gather together in this room and through the airwaves to remember that together, to be together in community, remembering our oneness, remembering our innate connection, remembering that together or apart, we are always connected at the heart. And so we take one deep collective breath together, connecting, joining, supporting, loving, praying together. And so it is. Amen. Let's stand and sing This or Something Better.
This or something better is waiting for me. I know that this or something better is the key that will set my heart free. I'm gonna let go of control. I'm gonna get out of my way. I know the universe conspires to bring me heaven today. I know that this is something better is waiting for me. I know that this or something better is the key that will set my heart free. I'm tired of playing it small. I think I should. The universe stands up to meet me, to claim my highest form of good. I know that this or something better is waiting for me. I know that this or something better is the key that will set my heart free. I'm gonna say yes to my dreams. Let my imagination soar. I know that I have gifts that I must use, and that is what I was put here for. I know that this or something better is waiting for me. I know that this or something better is the key that will set my heart free. I know it, I claim it, I have it right now, I know it, I claim it, I have it right now, I know it, I claim it, I have it right now, I know it, I claim it, I have it right now. What you gonna do, what you gonna see, what you wanna do, what you wanna be, what you wanna do, what you wanna be, what you gonna do right now.
All right, let's take that energy into our vision together. Centered in love, we embrace a positive path for spiritual living. And notice how congruent that is with always assuming that it will be this or something better. That might define positive, don't you think?
Yes.
Right? Almost like we had a plan for this coming together. And our mission, wherever we are, we provide a welcoming community that inspires and encourages all who gather here through the teaching, sharing, and practice of universal spiritual principles. And one of the ways we practice, one of the many ways we practice, is to honor wherever you are on your journey. So during this time of hugging and handshaking, if you want to hug, we'll bring it on in. If you're more comfortable with the handshake, just extend your hand. We promise to respect it. And if you want us to leave you completely alone, trust me, we understand. Just stay where you are, and we will leave you completely alone. Have a great time.
Sorry. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Okay, sing with us this time. You guys were having too much fun. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. That was awesome. You guys sound so good out there. Woohoo.
All right, so you think that was good? Wait till the concert. There was an announcement, August 13th, the concert. We're going to probably have some tickets ready to sell by the hug meeting, so we're having a lot of fun planning that. Some other announcements. Our prayer chaplains today are Dan Christopher, who is here doing double duty, and Debbie LaTulip, who is holding space for us from home. We do have our hug meeting today immediately following the service during fellowship, so I'm going to go through the rest of these announcements really, really fast because we're going to talk about all of this at the hug meeting. So following the hug meeting is going to be the beading workshop with Holly and Country, and we're looking forward to that. I peeked in the adult ed classroom today, and it is bead central. It's very exciting. Pride is Saturday, July 30th. If you would like to participate in that, please sign up. Gwen's class, Do Greater Things, starts August 3rd. The Source of Light is the 5th and 6th of August. Gallery tickets are on sale now. The Ministry Nuts and Bolts workshop is Sunday afternoon, August 7th. It is the final requirement for membership if you're planning on joining. And again, the concert is August 13th. Come to the hug meeting. We'll talk more about that, all of that, all right? And Miss Becky, would you like to read the daily word?
Good morning.
Good morning.
The word for today is trust. I place my trust in God. Few things are a greater comfort than deep and abiding trust in God. When I trust, I move more confidently through life. I feel the wind at my back and am made strong in the face of adversity. In the past, I may have felt disappointed when I misplaced my trust. The things of the world are impermanent. Even people come and go. The truth of God as the one presence and power in the universe, and as my life is everlasting, unchanged, and unchanging through all the seasons of my life. Even as I grow, evolve, and deepen in spiritual understanding, God is always my source, the inspiration I return to again and again. My freedom to seek and discover lies in the awareness that I can always trust in God. And from Isaiah verse 26:4, trust is in the Lord forever, for in the Lord God you have an everlasting rock.
I am home, my family is here. I feel loved by the ones I hold so dear. And when my family needs me, I promise to be there. And when I need my family, I'm lifted up in prayer.
So this is the time of our service where we consciously enter into an attitude of prayer. So I invite you once again to breathe. If you're comfortable, close your eyes and allow yourself to go within, to that place within us that is all wisdom, all love, all compassion, all strength and courage. We go into this place, and then in alignment with our daily word, we trust. We trust that when the need is there, all of these qualities will be there for us to call upon. Our innate connection to one another, our innate connection to all of humanity and to the divine is always accessible, even in the darkest of times. And so this morning we begin with this community. As we communicate and reach out to one another throughout the week, we share our concerns, we share our joys, we share our grief, we share our celebrations. And so this morning I would like for us to specifically focus on those who are grieving in any way, over any situation, whether it be grieving a loss, grieving a relationship, grieving a job, grieving a parent, a friend, or a child. We embrace you now. And we hold that space of trust for you, knowing that sometimes in the deepest of grief, we just can't access it. And so as community, we trust for you. We know that it will be this or something better. And so we share our wisdom, strength, courage, compassion, and love with you. We send it to you right now. Embracing any of us who are grieving with that all-encompassing love of God. And we also have had celebrations this week, births, birthdays, announcements, weddings. We share that joy. We send that joy out through the web that connects us all. We embrace it. We invite it in. We feed it. We nurture it. We see it growing. We see joy weaving its way through the grief, reminding us that it's always darkest right before the dawn, right before the return of the light. And in doing this, in sharing in this prayer, we acknowledge the power of community. In community, we are stronger, we are wiser, we are more courageous, we are more loving, we are more compassionate together. And we are so grateful for this reminder, for this opportunity to remember that truth. To remember that we are one. The divine in me recognizes and honors the divine in you. Namaste.
The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. You are beautiful. You are whole. You are beautiful. You are whole. You put such substance into the lines, but for practical use, they're just words on a page. 'Cause you don't understand the phrases you create, and so you trap yourself in that same old fate. The picture's laid out, the story's all told. The beauty remains, but behind it's just cold. The reality may be that we all mean well, but all the layers of doubt create their own brand of hell. Misperceptions color the machinery. They pour like sand into the gears. Words become a weapon. Smiles hide the deception. And soon, instead of living, we're just driven by our fears. Misperceptions provide an excuse for believing in truth that is really a lie. And before you know it, you've bought into the story and invested your soul without ever asking why. I say shoot straight with me, baby, but I really don't want to hear. Something dark has been driving this boat, I fear. Misinterpreted data, miscalculated facts, confused equations, it's reason we lack. Unvoiced motivation held back due to fear. Well, there's no proof in sight, but we all know it's here. You're trying to get what you need without asking outright, for fear the price of it all will be way out of sight. Misperceptions color the machinery. They pour like sand into the gears. Words become a weapon. Smiles hide the deception. And soon, instead of living, we're just driven by our fears. Misperceptions provide an excuse for believing a truth that is really a lie. And before you know it, you've bought into the story and invested your soul without ever asking why. I see you and you see me, but we're not together perpetually. 'Cause you see one reality and I see another, and this kind of strife can tear a sister from a brother. Oh, misperceptions color the machinery. They pour like sand into the gears. Words become a weapon. Smiles hide the deception, and soon, instead of living, we're just driven by our fears. Misperception provides an excuse for telling the truth that is really a lie. Before you know it, you've bought into the story and invested your soul without ever asking why. And if you're not careful, you'll never even try to make a change, because you sacrificed your soul.
I really want you to submit that for a Posey Award. Yes. Can you submit that for a Posey Award?
I missed the deadline this year. I'll have to do it next year.
Okay. Well, sing it at the retreat anyway, and then they'll know. And then they'll know what they missed.
I will do that. I'm taking a cool songwriting course.
Oh, cool. Janie's going to the Unity Worldwide Music Ministers Retreat, and we're real excited about that. Yeah. So there's a story about a young minister who was asked by a funeral director to conduct a graveside service for a homeless person who had no family or friends. So the funeral was supposed to be held at a cemetery way back in the country, and this person would be the first one. This was a brand new plot. It would be the first one laid in this new cemetery. So he started out early in the morning, and he wasn't really familiar with the backwoods area, so he became totally lost. but did not stop for directions. I'm not even going to go there, ladies, okay? We're not even going there. So he finally arrived about an hour late. So he saw the backhoe and he saw the crew, and they were eating lunch, but the hearse was nowhere in sight, and so he just assumed that they had dropped it off and left. So he apologized to the workers for being so late, and he stepped to the side of the open hole, and he saw that the vault had already had the lid put in place, and so he assured the workers that he wouldn't hold them up for long, but that this was really the proper thing to do. So the workers gathered around, and they were still eating their lunch, and so he began just pouring out his heart and soul. So as he said, as he preached, the workers began to say, "Amen," and "Praise the Lord," and "Glory, hallelujah." And every time that they made one of these encouraging responses, he preached like he had never preached before. He preached from Genesis to Revelations. He closed the service with a prayer, and he walked over to his car. And as he was opening the door and taking off his coat, he overheard one of the workers say to another, "I ain't seen nothing like that before, and I've been putting in septic tanks for 20 years. So, we make a lot of assumptions as we go through our day, right? That was the lead up to the third agreement, which is don't make assumptions. So as we go through our day, we assume things like the coffee pot timer will work, and we assume that if we're getting a green light, someone else is getting a red light. We assume that when we put the key in the car and turn it, it'll start. We assume that rain is wet. We assume that when we turn the faucet, water will come out of it. So you might say, well, what's wrong with making those assumptions, right? Those assumptions are based on things working. So the answer to that is nothing right up until what we assume is going to happen doesn't. That's when we have the opportunity to observe how life has the tendency to turn our assumptions upside down. Anyone else experience that over the last 2.5 years? Or the last 2 weeks, we're hearing. Yeah. So from that great, wise, anonymous meme maker in the sky, I saw this. Peace is the result of retraining your mind to process life as it is rather than as you think it should be. How much energy do we put into trying to make things the way they think they should be instead of being present to what actually is? How much of our life is taken up by adjusting for assumptions that didn't turn out the way we thought they should? And how much energy do we put into defending those assumptions instead of processing what actually is? So what would happen if we would put all that energy, because it's a lot, into becoming curious? I kind of alluded to this last week with don't take anything personally, right? What if we became willing to check out our assumptions before we act on them? Now, I'm not saying that, that when we get to every red light, we need to get out of the car and make sure that the green is working and the red is working. But we may want to take this approach into things like our relationships, our work, our creative endeavors, into becoming more curious. So this is what Don Miguel says, and don't try to follow this in the book. I jumped all around. He says, the whole world of control between humans is about making assumptions and taking things personally. Notice how he's also connecting those two. Our whole dream of hell is based on that. We make the assumptions that everyone sees life the way we do. Years ago, Ken pointed out to me that I have a tendency, when I'm getting upset about something, to have made the assumption that somebody should have done something the way I would have done it. Anybody else guilty of that? Of course, then I also remind him that for years he told the children that there was Ken's way and the wrong way, right? Luckily, we've both grown and matured in our approach to curiosity, right? And luckily our children survived us. So back to Don Miguel, he says, because we are afraid to ask for clarification, we make assumptions and believe we are right about the assumptions. Then we defend our assumptions and try to make someone else wrong. It's always better to ask questions than to make assumptions, because assumptions set us up for suffering. The way to keep yourself from making assumptions is to ask questions. Make sure the communication is clear. If you don't understand, ask. Have the courage to ask questions until you are as clear as you can be. And even then, do not assume you know all there is to know about a given situation. Once you hear the answer, you will not have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. Also, find your voice to ask for what you want. Everybody has the right to tell you no or yes, but you always have the right to ask. Likewise, everybody has the right to ask you, and you have the right to say yes or no. If you don't understand something, it's better for you to ask and be clear instead of making an assumption. The day you stop making assumptions, you will communicate cleanly and clearly, free of emotional poison. Without making assumptions, your words become impeccable. So let's look at curiosity. I shared with you last week during Don't Take Anything Personally that my curiosity was piqued many years ago in a training where I was asked the question, are you willing to be curious about that which offends you, right? So that question applies to Don't Take Anything Personally. It also applies to don't make assumptions. I think sometimes making assumptions follows taking something personally, right? So we've taken something personally, we've gotten our knickers in a twist, and then we just start making stuff up, right? I cleaned that up for the pulpit. You make stuff up because you've taken something personally. You've become offended. So that question really invited some powerful self-inquiry and to dismantling several pretty long-held beliefs about myself and others and relationships in general. So Pema Chodron, in her little book, and it is literally a little book this big, called Awakening Loving Kindness, this is what she has to say. She invites us to, quote, develop our curiosity, not caring whether the object of our inquisitiveness is bitter or sweet. In other words, are we willing to be curious no matter what? Even if what we're being curious about might make us a little bit uncomfortable, right? Even if it challenges some very closely held beliefs. She goes on to explain, inquisitiveness or curiosity involves being gentle, precise, and open. Actually being able to let go and open. Gentleness is a sense of good-heartedness toward ourselves. I love that word, good-heartedness. Word keeps flagging it is not a real word, but it is. Precision is being able to see very clearly, not being afraid to see what's really there. Just as a scientist is not afraid to look into the microscope. And openness is being able to let go and to open. So, this agreement asks us, are we willing to be curious? To see what's actually there, right there in front of us, with precision and without the need to judge it, just to observe it. We're not making it right or wrong, we're not making it good or bad, we're simply willing to be open to what is there. In the coaching model, we call this being willing to tell the truth about what is actually happening in our physical reality. It's not our opinions, it's not our beliefs, it's what's actually happening. And then being willing to not judge it. Being willing for what we see to change our mind. To be willing to change our mind. And the Buddhists have a model, I guess you would call it, or a belief that they call beginner's mind. And so beginner's mind is that mindset where we are willing to approach everything as a beginner. And they say in the beginner's mind, the options are many. In the expert's mind, the options are few. Right? Because when we become an expert, we've decided that this is this. And so all of our beliefs, our opinions, yes, our assumptions are aligned with this is this. But the beginner doesn't have any of those preconceptions. The beginner doesn't have those years of experience in their field. Now, I'm not knocking years of experience in our field. I have years of experience in my field. What we're talking about here is regardless of how much you know, to be willing to acknowledge that there's always something you don't know. And that falls under the danger of assumptions, because inherent in the definition is we don't know what we don't know. Right? That's the scary part. And that's the invitation to beginner's mind. Be willing to open our minds to what we don't know that we don't know. Be willing to observe in physical reality what's actually going on around us, and be willing to change our mind. So this approach, this beginner's mind concept, reminded me of one of Socrates' teachings, particularly this one. The unexamined life is not worth living. It's pretty firm, huh? Right? So when I Googled that, thank God for Google, and I mean that reverently, in an essay by Robert Gertson, he says, I've always been fascinated by Socrates' bold statement that the unexamined life is not worth living. He does not mince words. He doesn't say that the unexamined life is less meaningful than it could be, or one of many possible responses to human existence. He simply and clearly says, it is not even worth living. Why does he make such a strong, unequivocal statement? Socrates believed that the purpose of human life was personal and spiritual growth. We are unable to grow toward greater understanding of our true nature unless we take the time to examine and reflect upon our life. As another philosopher, Santayana, observed, he who does not remember the past is condemned to repeat it. Examining our life reveals patterns of behavior. Deeper contemplation yields understanding of the subconscious programming, the powerful mental software that runs our life. Unless we become aware of these patterns, much of our life is unconscious repetition. So we can apply this to our lives. We can apply it to our work. We can apply it to our relationships. Heck, we can apply it to our country. Right? Those who do not study and learn from the past are doomed to repeat it. So it kind of sounds like the definition of insanity, doesn't it? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Einstein once observed, we cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created it. Curiosity has the effect of helping to clear our mind and to open us to new possibilities and new ways of being and doing in the world. Just asking the question helps to shift our perspective. Just, why do you think therapy and coaching and counseling are so powerful? It's because of the quality of the questions. Just asking and entertaining a question opens our minds. So clearly, being curious is good for us. It's also good for our relationships. So what would happen to our friendships and our marriages or our partnerships if we become willing to let go and be open about who we are and who they are? What if we would always assume a positive intention? How would that shift our relationships? How many times do we catch ourselves saying, well, he or she's always this way or that way? Well, they always do this or that, right? Anybody here find themselves using those always or never terms around their beloveds? So here's a clue that you have made some assumptions. Okay, this is going to sound paradoxical, but nothing is ever always or nothing. You see what I'm doing? So I'm using the definition to negate the definition, but whenever I find myself using always or never, I have to stop and take a breath, because I don't always or never do anything, right? So why would I assume that the people in my life always or never do something? Right? So it's noticing the assumptions that we're making. It's noticing the beliefs that we have formed about those that we love, and notice how it limits the relationship. The minute I say something like, Ken never puts dishes in the dishwasher. So first of all, that's not true, right? Because nobody never does anything. Right? But what happens to how I feel about him when I say something like that? How open am I to all the times that not only does he put dishes in the dishwasher, he runs the dishwasher, he unloads the dishwasher, and he washes all the hand dishes? I'm not even going to see that, am I? Because I've decided he never does this. Right? So what we're being asked here is, stop it. Be open, be curious, be willing to let go of the assumption that anybody can never or always do anything. So Don Miguel says, just imagine the day that you stop making assumptions with our partner and eventually with everyone else in your life. Your way of communicating will change completely, and your relationships will no longer suffer from conflicts created by mistaken assumptions. And we can apply this to every relationship we have. We can apply this to people that we work with. We can apply this to family members. We can apply this to people that we have fit into stereotypical categories. You ever do that? All Republicans do this. All Democrats do that. All white people do this, all black people do this, all straight people do this, all gay people do this. I could go on, but then we'd be here all day, right? We are being encouraged to take a breath and become curious about our most closely held thoughts, beliefs, and opinions. One of the things I learned in my first week of seminary 22 years ago, Diane Burke said, people need to know that you care before they care about what you know. So how do we let people know that we care? We become curious. We ask them about their lives and their goals. We are genuinely interested. And we listen deeply without thinking about, how am I going to respond to this? You know how we listen to reply instead of just listening? We become curious. We don't judge them by appearances. We don't judge them by things, how they've always been done, but by truly listening and having powerful and courageous conversations. Margaret Wheatley wrote a book called Turning to One Another. I thought this was so sweet. She said, we can take courage from the fact that many people are longing to be in conversation again. We are hungry for a chance to talk. People want to tell their story, and they're willing to listen to yours. People want to talk about their concerns and struggles. Too many of us feel isolated, strange, or invisible. Conversation helps end that. I love the memes that said, find your weird tribe and stick with them, man. Right? Anybody here relate to that? It's reminded me of some of the work of Brene Brown and all the work that she does around vulnerability. We can't have those powerful conversations if we are not willing to be vulnerable, if we're not willing to be open and curious. I thought this observation by Margaret was so powerful because it's true. We long to have real conversations and talk about real struggles and real joys and get beyond the superficial assumptions that we make about each other. Samuel Johnson said, "A generous and elevated mind is distinguished by nothing more certainly than an eminent degree of curiosity." So if you are curious, congratulate yourself. You have a generous and elevated mind because we are willing to be curious. So the other neat thing about being curious is when we're being curious, our attention isn't on ourselves. It's on the object of our curiosity, whatever that curiosity is. And back to Pema, we're not judging it bitter or sweet, right or wrong, positive or negative. We're just noticing it because we're curious about it and we're willing to see it with fresh eyes. I love walking through our yard with Cassie, who's now 7, by the way, as if you didn't know that already from her telling everyone in the world that she's now 7, because she sees things that I don't see. You walk around your home and you go blind to what's in your home, right? Well, we walked around the yard, and for the last couple of years, I've only planted white flowers, a variety of white flowers in what we call the fairy garden, which is this big shaded area behind our deck with huge, huge sweeping cherry trees that are gorgeous in the springtime. And so she came in the house the other day and she said, "Fifi, look at this pink flower that I found." And I'm looking at it and it looks like a hot pink impatiens. And I said, "I didn't plant any hot pink impatiens." And she said, "Fifi, these are in the fairy garden." And I went out, and sure enough, there are 3 or 4 little tiny hot pink impatiens that popped up from God knows the last time I planted hot pink impatiens. I walked right by them. Didn't even notice them, because in my mind, I only planted white flowers. So my mind didn't see the hot pink that I mentioned, really bright hot pink impatiens in the fairy garden. But Cassie didn't have in her mind that there were only white flowers. So she didn't make that assumption that nothing of color could grow in the fairy garden. And we went out, and sure enough, now there are 4 blooming hot pink impatiens in the fairy garden. Now, I will tell you that my obsessive need to have only white flowers in the fairy garden, let it go, because Cassie is fascinated by the hot pink impatiens, right? So they will stay. But this fall, I will rip them out. So, we're going to let Don Miguel close us out here. This, then, is the 3rd agreement. Don't make assumptions. Just saying this sounds easy, but I understand that it is difficult to do. It is difficult because we so often do exactly the opposite. We have all these habits and routines that we are not even aware of. Becoming aware of these habits and understanding the importance of this agreement is the first step. But understanding its importance is not enough. Practice, practice, practice. Information or an idea is merely the seed in your mind. What will really make the difference is action. Taking the action over and over again strengthens your will, nurtures the seed, and establishes a solid foundation for the new habit to grow. After many repetitions, these new agreements will become second nature. And by making this one agreement a habit, your whole life will be completely transformed. So practicing this agreement, developing our curiosity, expands our vision. It helps us to see what has been there always, to notice the ordinary, to notice the hot pink impatience, and to see how extraordinary it truly is. Bernard Baruch once said, "Millions saw the apple fall, but only Newton asked why." So my vision for us is that we are the ones that ask why. That we are willing to embrace beginner's mind. That we are willing not to know. And let's see how that transforms our lives and our community and our world. Let's take that into meditation.
When things go wrong, it's natural to wonder, what celestial rule did I break? When things go wrong, it's logical to ponder, what credit can I take? But the truth is so much easier. I don't need a master plan. I can live here in the moment, 'cause my life is in good hands. I don't need to know where the wind blows. God knows. I don't need to know what the future holds, 'cause God knows. I need never know how pain ends, how my heart mends. I can just let go, 'cause God knows. But still I find I'm crying out for answers. Yes, I'm still craving control. And still I find I'm afraid of taking chances, as if I could damage my soul. But at this moment I remember, it comes so clear to me, that the minute I surrender, I'm as safe as I can be. I don't need to know where the time goes. God knows. I don't need to know what the future holds, 'cause God knows. I need never know how pain ends, how my heart mends. I can just let go, 'cause God knows. God knows.
So let's breathe together. Breathing deeply. Feeling the breath move through our body. Feeding. Nurturing. Opening. Expanding. And healing. We take a moment to simply focus on the breath, to feel it moving in and out. We use this practice to become present, to center, to ground, to open our hearts and minds to the infinite possibilities that lay before us. With each breath, we become willing to let go of what we think we know. With each breath, we become willing to change our mind and to open our heart. To seeing ourselves, to seeing those who share our journey, to seeing those in our community through fresh eyes. We become willing with each breath to examine our assumptions, to look at what might not be true. We ask for guidance and support in seeing what is before us clearly and without judgment. To see with eyes clear of misperception. To be exquisitely curious about the world around us. And so to practice, I invite you to ask yourself, when was the last time you made an assumption? Perhaps it was when someone didn't return an email or a text or a phone call or a letter. Perhaps it was when you overheard something out of context and jumped gleefully toward a conclusion. What else might you have done in that situation? What would curiosity look like in that moment? In that moment when we start to make something up, what question might we ask instead? And so we ask, and then we listen. And then we acknowledge ourselves for being willing not to know, and for having the courage to be curious. breathe in that acknowledgement now. Breathe in curiosity, beginner's mind, openness, precision, and good-heartedness. As we embrace and celebrate not needing to know.
Wind blows with time goes. I need never know how pain ends, how my heart mends. I can just let go. I can just let go. I can just let go. 'Cause God knows. God knows. God knows.
You're such a gift. So this is the time of our service where we acknowledge all of your many gifts for your incredible support of this community and how important the work of this community is in our world today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your donations, for your contributions, for your tithes and your love offerings. We are so incredibly grateful. Thank you.
Who's to say what's impossible, but they forgot? This world keeps spinning, and with each new day I can feel it changing everything. And as the surface breaks and tensions fade, but in some ways they remain the same. And as my mind begins to spread its wings, there's no stopping curiosity. I want to turn the whole world upside down. I'll find the things they say just can't be found. I'll share this love I find with everyone. We'll sing and dance to Mother Nature's songs. I don't want this feeling to go away. Who's to say I can't do everything? Well, I can try. And as I roll along, I begin to find things aren't always just what they seem. I want to turn the whole thing upside down. I'll find the things they say just can't be found. I'll share this love I find with everyone. We'll sing and dance to Mother Nature's songs. This world keeps spinning and there's no time to waste. Will it all keep spinning, spinning round and round and upside down? Who's to say what's impossible and can't be found? I don't want this feeling to go away. Please don't go away. Please don't go away. Please don't go away. Is this the way it's supposed to be?
That was wonderful. Thank you. Janie and I were joking before the service that we don't know how we plan services before Google. Because we look at the topics for the month and then we type in songs about curiosity, songs about taking things personally, songs about, and then we have a really good time listening to all of those songs. So let's stand now and share in our unity blessing. Together, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in each and every one of you. And let's turn and wave to all our friends in Facebook and YouTube land and bless them. All righty, let's sing the peace song. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as Creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And wherever God is, all is well. Go forth, have an amazing week, assume no more, embrace curiosity, and join us for fellowship downstairs. Bye-bye, Facebook and YouTube friends. We love you.
think we ever go. Because if you go there, it's such a run. Weird. I wonder if she always does that. I don't know if that's the name of the travel exactly. Was she always that way, or did something happen that caused that? You and